Hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. I sort of took a poll a while back as to whether Ketchup or Ketchup was the order of the day, and Ketchup seems to have won through. This is a first world problem, right?
Yeah.
What do you call your videos?
Yes, yeah.
But people rather like the British quirkiness of Ketchup. So Ketchup it is for the moment.
Okay.
And I'm sure the losers will be cringing like that. But anyway, so Craig's Corner is, we're just getting back on track, aren't we, Craig?
Yes.
After all this frivolity.
Back in the room.
Yeah, exactly. Or back in the corner,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
You've been doing wonderful things with various bits of material again. These are sun visors off a 1950s Ferrari, which you have remade.
Yes.
And they are looking suitably fabulous.
Yeah.
Just a little something you knocked up one day.
They are a bit of a pain, some visors as well to do.
Are
they're
they?
Not, yeah, they're not.
Why is that?
Because you try to make them look tailored, and yet sometimes they've got a mirror in them, which you have to incorporate when you retrim them, to match the rest of if they change the colour scheme or if they're just a bit beaten up. So it takes a lot of sort of planning and mocking up how you can sort of reproduce what the original one looked like, really. So, but in the scheme of things, they're quite easy.
Oh.
But to do.
Easier.
Yeah.
Yes. Ish.
Yes, yeah.
Very ish. Funnily enough, talking about mirrors on sun visors, I digress for a moment. A very good friend of mine some years ago bought a new Italian car, very prestige Italian car, as a gift for his wife.
Okay.
And they had it and they used it. It was brand new, as I say, and they enjoyed driving it round. And one day he got in it, pulled the sun visor down, and the mirror went suspended by wires and blew, right in front of it.
Yes.
This was his, whatever it was, a gazillion £1,000 Italian car, and the thing just fell apart literally in front of his eyes. He couldn't drive because the thing was,
Yeah.
So we think we can do a bit better than that here, don't we? Really?
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of the time you have to hand sew it as well, so that you can't. So, because you start sewing one side and then you have to hand sew it the other, because it's all enclosed, you can't just run a line of stitch around it, really. So
this I find incredible. This is the back seat out of the Aston Martin that we've got here, the DB24, as it's turned out, which is from 1956, I think.
Something like that. Yeah. So when the customer.
Before we were born, you've done an amazing. This is Connolly Vomol hide, which is fabulous leather. I mean, it is just inimitable, really, in the automotive world. What I am amazed about with this is, you've handmade all this, but you've managed to get this is a concave surface here.
Yes.
And you've managed to get that without any creases in it. Because that would naturally tend to crease and rook up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you go online and you see some look awful, be them original, because people have been sitting on them, or when they've been retrimmed, they look pretty bad as well. But so this is like a this bit here, the main part. Let me explain. It's in segments. So that and that is a different segment, and that's a different segment, and then you've got sort of the base. Yep. So you put the foam on first for the base here, and you sort of get that into place. Then these two bits here are pieces of aluminium with foam, and they've got a jute backing to give a little bit of stability. So there's a border that's sewn in around there, so you get the concave feel to it, and then you have to trim that. So you put that into place once this has been trimmed here. You put them into place, and then you rivet that on.
Right.
And then heat this up, and then trim it under there. And then you get this bit,
I'm still with you.
Sorry, I'm...
No.
So then you've got this bit here, and it's separately on the table. You trim it, but only up to here. Then you place it and then rivet it into place and then pull it back there. So that's why you've got all this nice... And if you look online, there's most of them have got a screw there, which we were going to put in, which is fair enough. But we've got that quite good. So I'm not...
Right.
Don't really want to put a screw in there, really. It's nice, yeah.
Yeah, it would be fair to say that's a small deviation from original.
Yeah, and this bit here, that's sort of because this is where the wheel arch fits, and there's carpet here, so that bit disappears there. Right. And also this bit here, again, that if you look online, there's some that are really terrible. That's a bit of bad design, really, because it just sort of finishes there, and it was hard trying to get that looking nice because you've got the body there and you've got yeah. So, but yeah,
there's the long and the short of it is there is a staggering amount of work in that.
Oh yes, yeah, and. Also, Alex sorted it out in that it was quite battered, and these segments didn't really fit as well. So Alex heated them up, and then put them in place.
So this is a bit of hand moulded aluminium.
Yeah, and it isn't symmetrical either. Those bits, yeah, of course it isn't.
But and it's we've got all these rivets going on and everything.
Yes, yeah. We were also missing this part as well, that top part. So
really?
Alex made that, yeah. So he heated the aluminium up to get it to fit better.
Right.
So
what a work of art that is. I mean, to get that to stay in there without sort of wrinkles here is.
I just wanted it to look smooth, like.
Truly amazing.
Thank you.
Craig, you never cease to your work. We've just put 2 headlinings in 2 Countaches as well, haven't we?
Oh yes, yeah.
We've got quite a few Countaches here at the moment.
Yeah.
And they just all headlinings on sort of 1970s and 80s cars. Just about all of, well, a large percentage of them are starting to droop, aren't they? And
yes.
Just with age and heat and one thing, the foam coming apart, etc.
Yeah, but it's quite involved to then do the headlining because you have to take the canter rails off and the front and the back panel. And sometimes if there's a new screen been put in, they've been siliconed. The rails have been siliconed into the screen, so you can only undo them so far. I know it is a bit of a nightmare. So yeah.
Charming. Yeah. But because you've actually, on one of them, you actually retrimmed the front and back rails. Yeah. So plenty going on in Craig's corner. It has most definitely become a thing. You are breaking the internet, Craig. You really are. You may notice I'm wearing the "What Can Possibly Go Wrong" T-shirt. We are selling a lot of merch, actually. It's taken us all by surprise. And this is a last hurrah before the Christmas break for you, an opportunity for to give your loved one a T-shirt with "What Can Possibly Go Wrong" on it. So there we are, plug over. Craig, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, we love Italian V12 engines here. I seriously have lost count of how many I have personally worked on and rebuilt over the last 40 years. The team here are very, very cognizant with Lamborghinis and Ferraris. We have, I think, 8 or 9 V12 engines being overhauled here at the moment. I just took this opportunity while we had 2 engines together. This is a Ferrari engine from the late 1950s, actually, early 1960s. Ferrari did a major step change with these engines. I'm just explaining a little bit, really, of the difference between the 2 V12s, because obviously they were direct competitors or became direct competitors to each other as Lamborghini established themselves. This engine is what's called an inside plug engine, so the spark plugs run inside the V, going into the cylinder heads that way. On the round about 1960 onwards, they became outside plug heads. So the spark plugs went in from this side for improved accessibility and improved combustion, better shaped combustion chamber for more flame propagation, easy for me to say, and more bang for your buck, basically, of fuel. So they did that, but the cost was that the HT leads, the resistor caps that were put on the end of the high tension ignition leads going over the plugs, were subject to great heat because they were right by the exhaust manifolds. Ferrari had to initiate a fairly sort of corrugated heat shield to go over the exhaust manifolds but under the spark plugs. BMW took this system, albeit without the lovely roller cam followers that Ferrari used, and they just had a pad that was lubricated by oil. I covered that in a previous video, actually, the BMW 3-litre CSL, the white one, a few months ago. But it's a system and it works very well. It's a single overhead cam. This was Ferrari's road car technology right the way through the first half of the 1960s. And then Ferruccio Lamborghini came along in 1963 and he came up with this little baby. This is a 4-litre version, but it's sort of identical really visually to the original 3.5-litre 350. And this is why Ferruccio Lamborghini mixed it up big time, because you've got what is now the classical 4 camshaft configuration, 2 inlet cams in the middle, 2 exhaust cams on the outside. So you've got 6 twin chokes, so effectively 1 choke per cylinder, one carburettor per cylinder, and these are either horizontal for fitting under the front bonnet, the hood on front-engined Lamborghinis, and the Countach, because the engine is mounted high because the drivetrain is underneath it or part of it. And on the Miura, the carburettors were vertical because they had the vertical room to do it. But the engine is essentially the same. And this was streets ahead of this. And this shocked Enzo Ferrari. The whole concept of Lamborghini shocked Enzo Ferrari. He was when he saw the Miura, for example, and he realized Lamborghini had arrived, apparently he walked past at the Turin Motor Show, was it? It was announced, or Geneva. Apparently he was utterly gobsmacked at the Miura. But yeah, so the engine technology, Ferrari, we consider Ferrari, high technology, always pushing the boundaries, but Enzo Ferrari was a surprisingly conservative man. And this was basically going back to a 1940s design. Whereas this was bang up to date racing cars, Coventry Climax in England, Walter Hassan and Harry Mundy. They exploited the 4-cam layout, as did Ferrari on their racing cars, but it was a world apart. And this, as you can see, still has 3 carburettors on it. So whereas this had 6, this has got 3 twin choke carburettors. And this sort of system soldiered on until 1969. In the Ferrari world, and Lamborghini hit the ground running with this 4-cam engine, 1 carburettor, always 1 carburettor choke per cylinder, from 1963. So he really mixed it up, and Ferrari came out with the first 4-cam production car, the 275 GTB4, in 1967. The Dino was also a twinkling in Enzo's eye at the time, the little mid-engine 2-litre as it was sports car V6. But they were the first sort of dalliances with production 4-cam engines that Ferrari could make, and it was as a direct response to the market being driven by this. So we just happened to have a freshly rebuilt Ferrari V12 and a Lamborghini V12. So I thought I'd just take a couple of moments to share a bit of history around the Italian supercar or exotic car business at the time. Here we have what I could describe as our stock in trade. This is a Lamborghini Espada. This has come from Spain, actually, from its original owner, from New, its family from New. And we're very honoured for them to have sent us this car all the way over. on a grua, as it's called in Spanish, a flatbed truck. We're doing a complete mechanical appraisal and overhaul on the car, and it's incredibly solid, this car, bodywork-wise, as you'd expect from a largely dry and warm country. Espadas have quite a complicated, the body shell on them from Bertone when they were new, when they were in period, was quite a complicated thing. You've got this small castle section here, as it's called, behind the sill, which actually forms the important structural junction between the sill and the rear wing and rear wheel arch area. This sort of area here is, for every car, a huge epicenter of stress and things trying to break and bend. I mean, rusty cars are, you know, seriously, they can start to crumble. The body shell can start to move if this area is affected badly enough. But this is still, it sounds right and it looks right. So what we've been doing with this is the likes of this. This is what's called a Girling Mark II brake servo, which was standard equipment on the Espada. In fact, they had two of them. And the ratio of the brake servo compared to the master cylinder determines how much effort you have to put into braking. It's all about the ratio. This is it's got a great big diaphragm in here with a rubber seal. When the brake fluid gets pushed in, the vacuum assists this. This is from the manifold on the engine. The intake manifold, which has the cylinders sucking, so it creates a vacuum, and the travel of the servo gives you, and the diameter give you the requisite amount of pedal multiplication. So, for example, when Mercedes-Benz in 1962 went on to disc brakes from drums on their 300 SL Roadster, because of the difference in design between drums and discs, they had to introduce a brake servo with the disc installation. That it was an upgrade above the drums for various reasons, and they had to introduce a servo. And later in the car's life, in that very short space of time, they actually they always had a servo, the 300 SLs, the Gullwing and the Roadster, but they had to up the ratio during the car's production to give the brake pedal more assistance. And if you drive a modern car, Audis in particular are very, very assisted, the brakes on them. You only have to touch them and you're almost through the windscreen. And that is all due to the effectiveness of the brake servo, the mathematics of how it works. And here we have a caliper which has come back from the reconditioners, absolutely beautiful. That'll go back on the car. We're rebuilding the engine on this, the gearbox, etc., etc., etc. We're turning it into a working car. I think we're going to leave the 55-year-old paintwork as it is, actually, because it is a testament to the integrity of this car. The owner wants a car that the family can use and enjoy, as they did over the previous generations and decades, but a great job to have in this. Really, really happy to have this here. Well, this is a Rolls-Royce Camargue, which I did a video on a couple of years ago, actually. It's had a lot of views, this video. And we're preparing this car because it's going to a new home in Canada. The new owners came over and had a look at the car recently, which was absolutely lovely to receive that visit from them. And what we've had to do, we took the windscreen out because it was suffering with water ingress into the footwells. So Alex has actually... the floor pan is essentially from the Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow or Bentley T from 1965, and Rolls-Royce adapted the superstructure, if you like, to make the Camargue. The Camargue was the most expensive production car in the world when it was launched in 1975. I've said this before, but the Silver Shadow, which was Rolls-Royce's sort of luxury model, was £28,000 in 1978, and this was £42,000. But it's quite funny because the more hand-built a car is, sometimes the more susceptible to aging it is, and the more productionized a car is, the more it is better engineered and can last longer. Now, I know that sounds like a bit of an oxymoron, to use a strange word, but the Camargue was hand-built deluxe. plus, plus, plus. It was the most expensive car in the world. Everything on it was hand fabricated. As I say, apart from the running gear and the floor pan of the Silver Shadow. And the result is that because everything's hand built, sometimes it doesn't fit as precisely as a production car where Ford have spent millions of pounds investing in the development of what the time would have been the Cortina Mark III or the Granada Ghia or something like that. Rolls-Royce didn't have unlimited research and development things, and because they're hand built, every body could have been slightly different in shape, just a millimetre or two here and there, because they probably didn't have the body jigs made to stamp them out and make them by the thousand. It's a tricky subject, this, but it always surprises me that as I've worked on these cars over the years, almost the more hand built they are, the more badly finished they are under the surface. Hard to believe, but true. But anyway, we had a water ingress problem here, so we eventually traced it to the windscreen seal. The windscreens in the 1970s weren't bonded in. Bonding of glass into car bodies was very much in its infancy. There wasn't the bonding material technology, and they didn't have the sort of etched black surround that modern cars have to cover up this area where it's bonded. So various sections of rubber seal were used, and this was no exception. And rubber, so it just relied on a sort of pressure from the rubber to hold it against the body. And the result was, over a period of time, a lot of hand-built cars like this started to leak water into the body, which is not good news because you've got a raft of wiring under here. Some of it's as thick as a man's wrist, actually, and you've got water running down from the A-pillars. What can possibly go wrong? And the result is that you can have electrical problems, but also it causes corrosion in the lowermost part, the floor pan. So fortunately, that is Silver Shadow. We've managed to obtain some repair panels. Alex has done a truly spectacular job of refabricating the floors on this, so that we're repairing the final product, the rust. He also had to refabricate this. This is very, very tricky to do because you've got this plastic, it's actually vinyl from the 1970s that Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, Ferrari, a lot of car manufacturers didn't use leather for the dashboards in the 1970s, Mercedes-Benz, Jaguar, because vinyl was cheaper and it was okay. It was, for some reason, acceptable. And you could actually have leather top roll, as it was called, and knee roll as an optional extra from Rolls-Royce. But this is how they came standard. Vinyl, vinyl, vinyl. Of course, it's right next to where Alex has been welding, MIG welding. So you've got heat transfer, you've got weld spatter, you've got sparks, all sorts of things. So we've had to partially strip very carefully the top of this dashboard off to give us a gap to put some welding sheets in, some welding screens in, so that he can refabricate this from scratch. And he's done a truly spectacular job. I'm full of admiration for the work he's done on this. It's been away to be painted in Kingfisher blue, the colour the car is. Beautiful bluey green metallic. So this car is almost finished now and will be ready to take its trip across the Atlantic to Canada, probably never to come back, in the very near future. But yeah, sealing of water ingress is a nightmare no matter what car we're looking at, actually. It really is. It can wreak havoc. And sometimes it's the unknown enemy in your car. So anyway, there we are. Rolls-Royce Camargue. Going to be better than new, this, I suspect, by the time we use some modern materials on it. Very satisfying. That concludes another Tyrrell Classic Workshop. Hope you've enjoyed it. Please remember to subscribe, and we'll be back with something else very soon.